Hey everybody, it's Joe Pro, and today, in honor of Paper Mario Month, I wanted to take a look back at the Super Mario Maker Paper Mario related levels that I made over the last few years. I did make them for the Prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 of Paper Mario 64. 5 levels in total. All of these videos are uploaded on the channel, but I went ahead and edited them into one long video, going through all of the levels, showing all of the little details. So please sit back, take a look at the levels with me, and let me know what you think and if you'd like to see some more. So starting off with the Prologue from Paper Mario 64, we're gonna go ahead and drop down this pipe, which drops us beautifully down into this little area here, which is representing, of course, I'm going to have everything on screen for you, but when Mario falls through the clouds into the little area here, and Goombaria comes and helps him out, and if you walk over here, then you walk into Goomba Village, and this is supposed to represent the gate that you can't go into at this point, but it's on the left side. And then here, of course, is the Toad House, and in the Toad House, the Star Spirit, Eldstar, speaks to Mario while he's lying in bed. And the neat thing about the stage is that when you go in buildings, you actually appear on the inside, but everything that's outside is still exactly the same. And so that's Goombario right there walking around, and if you go inside, then he's still right there. Everything is exactly as it was. And you can't kill them, and if you try to, then they make little noises. And later on, if you want, you can go on a Goomba Massacre, but for now we're not gonna. If you come over here, then you got the Father Goomba, and he was working on the gate, but as you just saw, Cammy Koopa was flying off here, and she left that little yellow block, and we can't go through, unfortunately. So for now, we're just gonna have to go inside their humble abode, and we see the Goomba Grandma, and of course the other Goombas are still outside. And if you come back here, we have Goompa working on the veranda, but it breaks apart, and unfortunately Goompa has died. We can't go this way yet because there's some yellow blocks, so we have to come over here and get the hammer from Junior Troopa's playground. And here is Junior Troopa. He's green now, but you hit him, his music plays for just a moment, and that's a nice touch that I like. And so that is his playground. Here is the hammer. Basically, you grab the hammer, and then now you can come over here and get through those blocks. And here is that trampoline that brings you up to a fire flower. If you remember that, then here it is, and that item is in the game in the exact place. Now, these green pipes just represent the spot in Paper Mario where you go to the next screen, and so they're just the same exact thing. So then here we are in the area where you fight a Goomba, followed by a spiked Goomba, followed by a winged Goomba, and then you can climb up on the little hill to a tree and get a star piece. And so that's really nice. Then you go to the next screen, which brings you back to the gate in Goomba Village. And so here is that little one-way gate, and you can climb out of there. And if you want, you can kill Goombario, which is always kind of fun because he's a pain in the butt. And if you're fast enough, you can actually get Cammy, but she's kind of fast because she respawns each time as well. But now that we have this, we can, of course, break the block essentially using our hammer and go on to the next screen. And here we find some wild Goombas and coins, and those are just like in the game, I'm pretty sure. And then a mushroom block. And oh wow, it's the red and blue Goomba brothers. They're a lot easier in this game though. And so we take them out, and we can climb up this trampoline and continue along to Goomba King's fortress. And here he is, Goomba King with crown and all. And just like in the game, if you hit the thingy in the tree, then you can knock him out a lot easier. And then here we are at Goomba Fortress, and I don't know how to get through. I could swear there was a bridge, and I could swear that that this was open here. Oh wait, there must be a blue switch out here. Yes, there is. And if you hit it, then you can go inside, and a bridge has now appeared that leads to Toad Town. And that's it. Alright, that does it for the Prologue. So jumping into Chapter 1 of the first game. Now this one I did split into 2 levels. So the first level is going through Koopa Village and Pleasant Path, and then the second level will be for Koopa Brothers Fortress. Alright, so we walk into Toad Town. We come underneath this little red thing here, and there's immediately a pipe that brings us to Mario's house. So if we go down that pipe, and then we are at Mario and Luigi's house. We have the pipes back here. We have the front part with the red, and then the little back taller green building, and we also have a chimney that in this game is blowing out some steam. And the windows are all in place and everything, so we can go ahead and head on inside. And inside we got the little plant, and we got this little fireplace thing. We got the beds. You can even go down here through the trap door and get the coin, which is supposed to be like the diary. And also, if you've ever wondered what's in their backyard that's not shown in the game, well, now you know. They have a pet chain chomp and a lot of pipes, so that makes sense. Alright, so here we have the item shop and also the dojo. Note that if you go through this door, you'll just appear in that door, so I'm not going to bother with that. You got this little wood area here. Just a second ago, what's his name? Chan was up there, or Lee, or whatever his name was. The next screen of Toad Town where we have a tree followed by Merlin's house. And as you can see, there's still things, it's still trying to assemble. Oh, there's the guy. Let's go ahead and take him out. Or just set him down. Yeah, so this assembles off screen to create a cool spinning roof effect. And, you know, that's just the best it could be. No point in going in there yet because, you know, Merlin will not open that door until you've gone to Shooting Star Summit. So, this is the much bigger door that brings you to Princess Peach's castle and Shooting Star Summit. Also over here, instead of being blocked by Koopa Brothers, it is blocked by Kent C. Koopa, who's normally on the other side, but he's going to be over here in place of the Koopa Brothers blocking us today. And so we cannot get past him until we have Merlin's help. So we're going to go ahead and go to Shooting Star Summit. And there's Peach's castle. Not really, but there's Bowser's castle, kind of, floating up in the air. This is the leftovers and that flag there. And then we have the little bridge, which brings us into the icy Shooting Star Summit. I know it's not really ice, but we'll go with it. So then you can come through here, and this represents climbing the mountain all the way to the top, where we have all of our star spirits. You get to talk to them, and then we're just going to go ahead and hit that P switch. We got to race back real fast, and you will see why in just a second. So once you hit the P switch, it allows you to, if you run into Merlin's house really quickly, you can get that coin. So I just hit the coin. It used to be a block, but it was a coin, which allows me to pick up this. And this is going to basically represent Merlin's power. And so if you hadn't already gone to the Shooting Star Summit, you wouldn't be able to get this power. So we use Merlin's power to open the way to Chapter 1. So we have continued through Toad Town, and then we are on the next screen, which we can see we just went through this pipe onto the next screen, but we have a bridge and a red Koopa and a tree and then a Goomba, and all these blocks should be positioned correctly. Another tree, and oh yeah, so here in the game, if you hit that block, a POW switch will come out. So I use that, and then we got to be real careful here not to mess up. This is tough. Well, I kind of messed up, but so in the game you hit the tree with a yeah, you hit the tree, turn it into a bridge, but I kind of ruined that, so sorry guys. And then there's another tree there, so we're gonna keep going on ahead now without wasting too much time. Sorry, I messed up the one part. I'm gonna die here on this guy, so I'm just gonna jump over him. Okay, so then we get here, and if you go down, it goes to Koopa Village, but if we go up, just like in the other game, and you come here, there's a bush and coins, and a red Koopa jumps out. So that's a fun part that I enjoy. We're gonna leave him naked there. Here's like a thunderbolt or something, and so we have that, spiked Goomba. And then eventually we get to a point where we cannot continue until we get our Koopa partner, because there is no bridge over the water. In this case, I had to make my own version of that, and so there it is. So we're gonna go ahead and get Koopa. And note that, yes, you can exploit this level because you can just use any Koopa to get through there, but for these purposes, we're going to get the actual Koopa. Okay, so now we come down here, and we can find this Koopa here. We got those 3 blocks there. Got the item shop, or the Toad House and the item shop, and of course we can't build every house because it's just too much. And if we come over here, we have Koopy Koot over there. He's a little old, and you can't go into his house, but we can go into Cooper's house, so we're gonna do that. And it actually brings us out to his back door, where you can see the little bridge here on the right, and he also has the little skylight on his house, which brings you over to the fuzzy mini game area. We can pick up Cooper. I keep wanting to call him Coops. Go ahead and get Cooper's shell, which represents basically getting Koopa. And we're going to be real careful here. We're going to navigate all the way back up using the correct partner's shell. Like I said, it's easy to exploit this level because you can easily just use any Koopa for this part. This is one of my favorite parts, though. I found a way to make it where throwing a Koopa shell actually hits a switch, which builds a bridge and allows you safe passage to the other side. So that's a pretty fun part that I enjoy. That box has a fire flower as normal, and then there's a tree, which allows you to head over to the Koopa Brothers Fortress area, where you go through a few of these stone pillars and flying Koopas, and this Koopa is going to be annoying and come over here and encourage me to die, it looks like, but we're going to hope that that does not happen. So in this part, what you're going to do is you're going to wait till you have a chance, and then you're going to have to throw bombs up into here. And I almost died there. But yeah, so you have to actually, this is the one spot where once you have Bombette, you can break the stone wall, and then you can take the pipe up to that building. So that is that building right there, and instead of just going to the right and going to Koopa Brothers Fortress, you actually have to go ahead and break this now, since we won't be coming back here, which will bring you to the top as normal, which tells us that the Koopa Brothers are that way. And so we come down the right side of it, which brings us to the front entrance of the Koopa Brothers Fortress, and of course, we finish the level. Well, I hope everybody really enjoyed that level, and now we're going to jump into Koopa Brothers Fortress, the second half of Chapter 1. Now, this one is one of my favorites, and really, I enjoyed making all of these in Super Mario Maker. Okay, so we come in here and there's the bridge. Well, it's not a bridge in the other game, you go around it, but same idea, with water, with Koopas in there. Unfortunately, I can't make them stay in their shells, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. Normally, you beat this Koopa up and you get a key to a locked door, but you can only have 4 locked doors in each level, so I was not able to do that. So instead, you just go right through into the next room, which has these bombs, and so we're just gonna avoid them, because no point in fighting them. As you can see, there's this little concrete block here that we can't get on top of, and that leads to a cracked wall that we'll be able to bomb later on. So here is a red Koopa along with a Koopa brother. All of the Koopa brothers I represent with a green shell. And then here's our first jail cell with a key inside, which is the one they were guarding. Then we have this jail cell here, which has the little opening, and there's a red Koopa in there. And then the last jail cell, instead of having a cracked wall, actually has one of those little piranha guys. For now, just like in the original game, we have to continue on. So instead of opening the doors, we hit this P-switch, which just like in the game, it drops down the stairs, and so we're able to come downstairs, and we can come over here to the jail cell and see all the bombs in jail, and there's nothing we can do about it. And this one over here is supposed to be Bombette, but we can't do anything for him now, so we go to the left side of the stairs and come into a door, and then we cannot get back out because the door has gone up. So we fight these Koopas, or just ignore them, and then the door drops down, which means we're able to go out that way. So now we just avoid some fire bars, and then we get our very first key of the level. So we go ahead and backtrack back out here. We can take this key up to its exact use, which is to open this door. So now we're in the room above the jail, and we actually can come over here, and even though we don't have Bombette, I have Acting Bombette, and that allows us to break that open, which leads us outside to where the refund badge is. And it's on a little area on top of some water. But we're not gonna pick that up because we don't wanna have a fire flower, because that would be cheating. As you can see, it's definitely easy to exploit these type of themed levels. So we're gonna climb up these stairs, and when we get to the top, we have another Koopa brother who has created a bit of a trap for us. We hit the yellow block, and you gotta do a little more than that. You gotta hit this, and what happens? If I could do it. Oh no, the floor falls through and you fall into jail. You can't get back out the way you came. But fortunately, we find a nice little bomb lady named Bombette, and we're gonna blow her up, except in this game, she actually dies. So we're able to get out, and we're gonna take this POW block, which is gonna be the acting Bombette of this level, since we can't carry the bomb all around, and we're gonna bring it to that jail cell that you saw earlier. So instead of throwing Bombette at the cracked wall, we're actually gonna throw the POW block, which breaks it open, and we're able to get our second key. Alright, so we take that key and we're gonna come back up here and we come through this area here, which leads us to a flying Koopa and a locked door, and so we use that key that we got in the correct place to now go above the jail cells. And this is maybe my favorite part of the level. One of them is that in the other game, in the original game I should say, you have to hit with Cooper, you have to hit P-switches, exclamation point things, to make bridges appear and the walls disappear. And so this works the same way. You jump and you hit that, and then you do it again. But then you gotta wait here until the walls all move back into place. And once they do, you can jump again and hit that again, which then allows you to go again, and then you gotta wait again. And it's just like in the game where you gotta keep doing it over and over. And once you do that, you go to the next room, and there's of course a red Koopa. Okay, so then we get in here, and in this room we get another switch, and when we hit that, then we have some stairs that come down, which bring us onto this concrete block from earlier, and we're gonna put our acting bombette into place to break the cracked wall and get the key from that room, which we can use on this door to go into that tall room from the beginning above the water area, and we hit another switch, which creates some more stairs for us. And so we take those up, and we keep going upstairs until we get to the top of the room, and we go through this door to be on top of the Koopa Brothers fortress. Come down here and get some of that syrup item, and then besides that, you just gotta walk across the top of the area. There's some bullets, of course, you gotta avoid them. One of the bullets can actually shoot backwards, and if you come down here, you can get HP, which in this case is a mushroom. Alright, so then we go through this door into the boss battle. So there's a fake Bowser, but we can take him out, and he falls off the side down into the jail below. And once that happens, you wait just a few seconds, and the Koopa Brothers appear, complete with music. And once you take them all out, you get a key. So they can be kind of fun. And of course, Bowser is fallen down below. We can take this key and go through this door, which brings us back to the beginning of the level. So this is where it all started. And yeah, so we've already beat them, and so we get to go back out to the front of the Koopa Brothers fortress. And when we get there, you find no other than Eldstar rising up into the heavens. And yeah, that's the level. This is Chapter 2 of Paper Mario 64, so I'll walk you guys through it. Unfortunately, in this game, you have to kind of leave this area open, is what it is. We got some bushes here. We got over here a save block, just like in the game. We got the train station, complete with railroad tracks, and a red train that is ready to go. And then up here, you start climbing up the mountain. You got a few little ledges you got to jump up onto, and then you come up here, and you have a gray block that you can't normally pass, but if you do, you come over here to your partner upgrade block. Then you got an arrow that shows us to head up this way, where you can find a HP block, and Paracarry, which of course, if you hurt Paracarry, it does not like that very much, but you can indeed kill Paracarry. He'll come back later. So Paracarry in the game wants us to bring him 3 letters before he helps us. So we enter our loading zone here. This is what represents loading zones. It's a new thing I decided to do with this level, and so this brings us over to our next screen. And so we come in here, we got a slide, we can climb up. We got a mole that we can kill, just like in the game. And if you come down here, you can get the sleepy sheep, and then there's another mole that pops out at you that you can kill. And then this represents the sleepy sheep box. Then you got a normal yellow block that you can destroy, and then you come over here and you got Mr. Wacka himself, and you can get a Wacka bump, and this is how I decided to illustrate Wacka. Now, one thing that made this course extremely difficult to make, it took me 15 hours to make this course, is that the semi-solid platforms, you make up all of the mountain and the dungeon, which we'll see later, and so those don't overlap very well, and it's very tricky to get them to work. But anyway, we go through the next loading zone, and we come up here to another save block, just like in the game. Now, we can keep going this way, kill some more moles if we'd like to. There's another one that comes up. That was the Quake Hammer. That is the badge, and that's where the POW block is. So you saw the mole that ran down this way. You can climb up these platforms, and normally you would use Cooper or Paracarry
well, you won't have Parakarry yet, so you would use Koopa to get that that letter. That was our first letter, represented by 1 red coin. So we need 3 red coins or letters to progress. So we go through another loading zone. If you go this way, this is that little gap that brings you over to the little flower seed man, and that's where you'd get that. Otherwise, you would head up this incline, and then you would head through the next loading zone. Now this loading zone would bring you to the spot where you cannot progress unless you have Parakarry, because you can't make this jump without Parakarry. And so I blocked that off, but you can fall down below and you'll find another letter down below, along with a trampoline that will get you back up to the top. So now in the game, the original game, you have to backtrack a little bit with your 2 letters, and you still have 1 more to find, which is the hardest one. Now if you come up here, you can get a star piece on the little bridge platform, and then you can head back down and head back a loading zone. Now we've already done through here. So in the original game, there's some climbing you do around here in this area, and then you take a slide which brings you over to another area. But unfortunately, that area, all of that is a lot of stuff to do for 1 letter, and there just wasn't room to do that in this game. So that is one of the only places I had to make a cut. And so we cut that, and instead, you can just head right up and get the letter, much easier than in the real game. And then you can, of course, slide down one of those slides, just like you would. Now we have all 3 letters, so we can, of course, return to Parakarry by going back another loading zone. Alright, so on our way back, we can go ahead and take this slide as well, always fun, and then progress through the loading zone. Now, of course, I killed Parakarry, and he didn't come back like I thought he would, but we bring Parakarry the letters, which gives us our new partner, Parakarry, which in this case is represented by a P block. And there's Parakarry, he's back. So since we can't actually take him with us, we will just take this P block all the way back to the spot where we could not progress, which is right here. Now if we use this, we can finally cross this platform, and we can see the mini boss that's hanging out up there as well, but thankfully we don't have to fight her as we cross the bridge and head down the side of Mount Rugged, down through another loading zone into Dry Desert. So we got the little water tower here, we got an HP block and a save block, and we're good to go. Hit our checkpoint. Now the desert doesn't have a whole lot to do in the real game, and so I kept it kind of short and sweet. We got this little blue tent here with Colorado the Koopa inside. We got a Pokey right here, just your typical yellow Pokey that's represented in red. And then we have the gray cactus along with the tornado. And then we have the area at the end where you have a lot of tall palm trees, which here are mushrooms. Now, if you go further north in the desert, which is represented by up, you can find Dry Ruins, but we can't quite see Dry Ruins yet because we need to go into the outpost and get that to reveal itself. So to do that, we will continue along into Dry Outpost. Alright, so I had to make a little bit of cuts here, but you got your first building, you got the item shop building, you got that blue pipe that comes up later in the game, you got the tall house, which is Mustafa's house, but you can't get up there, and then you have a little red building, and then you have a yellow building, and then you have the blue building that Mustafa is blocking the entrance to, who is here represented by this little piranha man. Little biter dude. So just like in the original game, you have to go into the shop and buy a dried shroom followed by a dusty hammer. So we go into the shop and you get to see the inside of the building. Everything outside is exactly the same. And first you buy the dried shroom. So we bought that. And then you're able to go through and buy the dusty hammer. And you have to do it in that correct order. Then we could take that once we bought both of those things over here and Mustafa gets out of the way, and you can go through the side of the house over to these things that you can climb. You take the roof, you climb across, and you're inside of the greenhouse, which is Mustafa's house. And just once again, you can see the inside of the house. You get the key, which is the gem from the game, and that will allow you to enter and reveal Dry Ruins. Alright, so we come back up here to Dry Ruins, and now we can finally reveal the entire ruins as the magic powers go all around us, and we can finally see what it looks like. So we go on and head on inside. Brings us to this creepy room. We got 2 columns here. We have a save block represented by a checkpoint. And now we've reached the dungeon itself. So this gets a little tricky. We start off with 2 pokies. In the game, it's 3. And then this is where things get really cool. So we have stairs that lead up and stairs that lead down. Now in the original game, you have to go down first. You get a key, which then you can go to the upper floor on, and then you push a button which drops sand down below and allows you to get out of the lower room. So here, we grab the key, just like in the game. We head up the stairs into the upper room. And then from the upper room, you're able to hit a switch which drops sand down below. It funnels through the ground. And isn't that awesome? The sand, represented by the red-blue blocks, goes down below and creates a platform into the next section. So here we got some stairs going all sorts of different places. The first thing we need to do is we need to get a key that is in here, but in the original game you can't quite reach it. So you have to go upstairs and do the same thing again. So you come up here and you use Bombette to break a hole in the wall, and then that bomb there represents Bombette. So we do that, and then we have to get through here, and we can push another switch, which drops the sand down to the room below, and we can get the key. Now, of course, I've already used all of the doors that I'm allowed to due to the restrictions of Mario Maker 2, and so I had to instead represent that with a coin, but because we hit that switch, it opens up this path. Alright, so anyways, so now that we've gotten that imaginary key, the door is open. Now over here there's a chain chomp room, but we can't do anything about that yet because we don't yet have our better hammer. So we're gonna have to come back and backtrack there later. Now in this room you can get up here and get an artifact that belongs to Colorado, and then there's also some Pokies that you need to defeat. Weirdly enough though, in Mario Maker, even though they're here, they don't always load up properly. It's something about the rooms and going in between them, but pretend there's Pokies there. So then you can head over here and you can place Bombette into another crack in the wall, which destroys it, giving us a new path. But before we head down that way, we're going to go over here into the hammer puzzle room chamber. And just like in the original game, there's some red and blue platforms, or they might be green and red platforms, that alternate and swivel. And so you have to solve the puzzle to get behind this door, which leads you to the hammer, and in this case, a fire flower. So you first head up to the middle, you hit a switch, which allows you to get up to this block, and then you can get to this block, and then finally, you can head up here and hit this block, which allows you to reach the treasure room. This is one of my absolute favorite parts of the entire course, and really any of the Paper Mario courses I've made. I thought it was really, really cool. These on-off switches work perfectly for this level. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and head downstairs, and this brings us to the room that we need the moon, diamond, and star rocks gems that will allow us to go down and fight the boss and finish the level. But in this game, I've already used up all of my doors and key options, and so I had to get creative here. And so the first thing that we can do is we can drop down below here, just like in the game. And now, since we have the hammer, we can defeat this guy, which lets us get this P-switch here. Now we can run around and take this P-switch back up here, and this represents the key, of course. You can take this key up here, which allows you to get into this room. And once you're in this room, you can lower the sand into the room below, which allows you to cross it and go into this room to fight the first chain chomp. And we hit that, and that lets us destroy those little things over there, those little piranha biters. So we've gotten one of the chain chomps, now we gotta go back and get the others before we can go through that pipe, because otherwise we'll get put to a point where we can no longer progress. So we come in here, we use our hammer to defeat this guy, and then we get past the other chain chomp, which is, you know, he's kind of locked up, so he's not too difficult for us to get past. And then we can use this shell that we used after beating the second chain chomp to come in here and hit this switch, which we have to have that shell for. Now that we've hit that switch, we can progress. And see, there's those Pokies I was talking about. So now we're going to be able to come through here. The only switch of all of these that you can hit that will let you get through there is that one, because any of the other switches, you'll get locked out of this room. And so once you've hit all 3 chain chomps, you have to hit all 3. You have to destroy all 3 and get all 3 gems. We go through a little detour up here real quick. And then we're finally in the room, in the chamber where the floor drops out with the pillars where you put the gems, except they're already there. Now, if we hadn't hit that last on-off switch, then we'd come in here, we wouldn't be able to progress. But we can progress, so we head down the stairs, down towards the final boss. Now we have a health block if we need it, and then we head down some more stairs into the final room where you can save your progress in the original game, and then now we're gonna go fight the boss, so I hope you guys are ready for this. So, Chompy starts attacking us right off the bat. Alright, and then we got Tut and Koopas up there on his ledge. We gotta get him knocked down, so we're gonna go ahead and hit that. And then another Chomp comes because he always respawns once you destroy him. So we're gonna take him out first once again, and we're gonna drop Tut and Koopa down another level. Now Tut and Koopa is finally here, and this boss fight is just like in the original game where he's throwing little blue Buzzy Beetle shells at you, and you need to throw them back at him. So we're gonna hit one more, and then Chompy comes out again. So we destroy Chompy, the last Chompy, and then now we struggle to defeat Tut and Koopa because I'm just absolutely failing. So you can either throw the shells at him, or you can just step on him, and then Tut and Koopa is destroyed, which means we can go ahead and hit this last switch and hit this, and we get the Star Spirit. They get the second Star Spirit in the game, and that gives me a trampoline which I can use to exit the dungeon. So I had a lot of fun making this boss fight, thought it was super cool. So we get out of here and we see the Star Spirit going up into Star Haven. And that ends the level, that's it.
And that brings us to my most recent creation, which is from Super Mario Maker 2, and that's going to be Chapter 3, so let's jump right into it. You can see the course ID on screen as well if you'd like to try it out in Super Mario Maker 2. But this one doesn't do all of Chapter 3, it actually starts as you're leaving Boo's Mansion and Forever Forest. So we're going to say bye to our friendly Boos on the left side, and then we have one final tree, and then we go through the gate that brings us into Gusty Gulch. I can do it. So there's some Paragoombas, of course, and there's the windmill, but we cannot get in because we're going to need Yaki from Tubba's castle. So we'll go ahead and go through the next loading zone into the little town. So we have some friendly Boos that are hanging out, and then we move into the next loading zone. And Tubba Blubba is here attacking some of the Boos and eating them. So we're going to have to get past him. Oh my god, this is absolutely obnoxious. So the wind is like a really cool thing, which gives it more of that Gusty Gulch vibe, but of course it does make it difficult to play the game, and I'm already pretty bad at that. So we can just go into this building, which will bypass Tubba as he's eating those Boos, and then we'll move on to the next screen. So in here we do have an item, just like in the game, and so that is something that you can acquire. And then there's some more enemies as you continue up the mountain towards the castle. So a few more enemies at this point, and then there's a HP block, and then we have a few more blocks, including a save block, and then we go to the checkpoint, and we are now at Tubba's castle. So I'm gonna head right on in to the big guy's joint, or whatever you want to call it, to his castle, you know? So this room's really cool. I forget what these guys are called, but I will post their name, and of course you can see on screen what they're being used as, but these bloopers are being used as those little things that will take you out of the castle. Now this door is locked, so we will need to go find the key for that, and so we're going to head on through. Now the ghost house design is really cool for Tubba's castle because it does have these clocks in here, just like the clocks in the original Paper Mario game. So we're going to avoid these clubbas and continue along. There's a star piece up here on this table, we'll take that. And then we'll head on in here where I get another health block as well as the key. And I'm continuing to play absolutely terribly. Now this room is a little bit shortened. Normally this would be in the basement. You'd get the treasure chest with the key, and then there's the friendly Boo that's hanging out down there and tells you some information. So that's why he is here. But in this case, I didn't have quite enough room to make that basement area, so we'll just grab the key, and then we'll move along back to the main area of the castle. Alright, moving right along. We have the key now moving over to the right area, and that way we can get up to the second floor. So I'm just going to avoid these guys and head right on up the stairs to the second floor of Tubba's castle. Now we're up on the bridge and heading back over to the left. And the spoilers up above, you can just ignore that, but we will need to go into this room to get another key. Now, in Paper Mario 64, this is represented by the spike room, but I did something a little bit differently here, and I put in these fire flame pillars instead. And then we can grab the key and then start heading back. All right, now that we have everything, we'll continue along past this other clock, and then we will use our key to get towards the 3rd floor of the castle. Now, of course, on the 3rd floor, you do run into Tubba Blubba, who is walking around, stomping his feet, going back and forth outside of his bedroom area. So in the game, Paper Mario 64, you do need to use Lady Bow to hide, and that way you can get past him, or of course you can just walk around him. And then what we're going to do is, avoiding his magic wand, we're going to come down here and use this boo, which represents Lady Bow, to hide, and then that way he walks past us. Alright, now this room, of course, is where all the sleeping Clubbas are in Paper Mario, but in this instance, they all just kill each other, and this one maniac is the one that's left standing. So we're going to hit this switch, which is normally where the key is, but we're going to hit that switch instead of using the key, and then that allows us to cross over into the next area. So now we have a health block again, and a save block, and then we can cross over the bridge over into Tubba Blubba's bedroom. Now in this room, of course, you have his very comfy looking bed. He's not sleeping in it, sadly. You also have his dresser, and then you have Yaki, who is in that treasure chest. So the way that we get Yaki out is we're going to hit this block, which also causes Tubba to start chasing us. And then we grab the key, and Yaki screams for his master. So now we got to get out of the castle as quickly as we can, as Tubba is chasing us and has destroyed this part of the bridge, which means we have to fall down onto the 2nd floor. And then Tubba Blubba continues along with his magic wand, it's canon, and he also continues to jump down and to chase us all the way out of his castle. But I'm going to speed things up a little bit and run up ahead of him, since I am fast as freak. Fast as freak, boy. Tubba cannot catch me. And I hurt myself again. Now, just like in the game, Paper Mario, the boos do show up and will hold the door for us. So they're there right now, holding on to that door so Tubba cannot chase us. And now we're going to go all the way back to the windmill. So I will catch you guys when I get there. Alrighty, I made it back almost to the windmill. If you played before, you know that you have to now fight Tubba's heart and get him to reunite with his body, which is his weakness. So we're going to go ahead and enter into the windmill, as long as I do not die, like an absolute idiot. Alright, so we have Yaki, we've entered the windmill, we get the cool little windmill interior, and then we go down the pipe down into the heart's lair. Alright, so we finally hit another checkpoint, which is good since I suck at this game. There's a few Goombas in the little hallway as you go down into the depths of the heart's lair. And then once you do hit the bottom of all of these hallways, you find the heart hanging out in its little crib, is what I like to think of it. And so he's just chilling, you know, just vibing, enjoying life. And so we fight him, and then we chase him back up to Tubba's. And then we basically both go all the way back up and escape the windmill together. And by doing that, the heart will reunite with its body once we exit and emerge from the windmill. So, heart jumps back into Tubba's mouth, which was a really cool effect, and very happy with how that looks. And then at this point, we just gotta fight Tubba. Now, I'm really bad at this game, apparently, especially with the wind, so I'm just gonna kind of jump over, hit him one time, and then I'm gonna grab the Star Spirit and kill him that way, and kill his heart too, because why not? Screw you, heart. Now that we've done that, we have Scholar, one of my favorite Star Spirits, and we beat the chapter. So, that is pretty much it. And with Chapter 3 done, that wraps up all 5 of the remake levels that I created in Super Mario Maker. If you're interested in seeing more of these, let me know. I would love to make potentially Chapter 5, maybe Chapter 7, maybe some stuff from the Thousand Year Door. Let me know what you would like to see next, and I will jump right into it as soon as I got the time. But again, thank you for watching. I have plenty more Paper Mario videos up on the channel this month for Paper Mario Month, so please check those out, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye-bye.